Hey everyone, welcome back to Firsthand Globetrotting. I'm back with part 3 of my trip to Riviera Maya in Mexico. My first 5 days have been incredible. The resort has been so much fun, there have been picture-perfect views around every corner, I got to see one of the wonders of the world, the food's been amazing, I got to swim in some incredible underground cenotes, and so much more. If you missed parts 1 and 2, the links are in the video description. It's day 6 now, and I'm leaving my resort and heading into Playa del Carmen. As soon as you step out the front gate of the resort, you're on the main highway that goes through Riviera Maya. Playa is about 30 minutes away, straight down the highway. I didn't have a car, but one of the really cool things they have there are colectivos. They're little shared vans that you flag down anywhere along their route, kind of like a bus. You just let the driver know when you want to get off, and they'll pull over and let you out. They're a super cheap and easy way to get around, and I was in Playa in no time. After Cancun, Playa del Carmen is the next biggest city along the Riviera. My first stop was the main pedestrian road, 5th Avenue, that runs parallel to the beach. I knew that it was going to be super touristy, and it definitely lived up to the hype. If you're looking for authentic Mexico, this street probably isn't for you. It's 100% aimed at tourists, but I always love wandering around a good tourist trap to see what it's all about. The salespeople in Playa know how many tourists come to the city every day, and they're ready and waiting to sell you stuff. It was before noon, so the streets weren't very busy, but they were still trying really hard to sell me just about everything. There were some that would see my Barcelo resort bracelet and claim to be waiters there, offering me a special deal since they recognized me. Then others would offer free tequila tastings if you came into their shops, but all the tequilas were really weird, expensive no-name brands. And since I didn't have my sunglasses on, nearly every shop owner would notice and offer me a great price on a new pair. If you have a baseball hat on or anything else that gives a hint about your hometown, they'll try to use that to strike up a conversation with you and get you into their stores. I have to give it to them. They're really good at picking out the details from each tourist and using them in their sales pitch. They know how to hustle, and it's fun to watch them in action. I probably had to say no thank you a few hundred times today. The sales pitches never stop. Even if you're used to spending time in tourist spots with aggressive salespeople, there's one thing that'll probably surprise you as you walk down 5th Avenue. After you say you aren't interested in whatever it is they're trying to sell you, about every 3rd salesperson would offer you weed, coke, or women. It can be a shock at first, since most places in the world don't have their black market stuff as open and in your face as here. Just today, I probably got 40 offers. So if that's the stuff that bothers you or makes you feel uncomfortable, then a walk down 5th Avenue may be a little stressful. But just like everything else, I just said no thanks, and they went on asking the next person. Okay, as fun as it was being offered every single souvenir for sale down 5th Avenue, the main reason I wanted to come to Playa was for some amazing Mexican food. And you only need to walk a few blocks away from 5th Avenue before you find places that are way more authentic, way more delicious, and way more affordable. I started off with a strawberry and raisin tamale. The sweetness of the fruit made it way different than the tamales I've had before. Next up was a sope. So much good stuff piled on top with the nice thick corn base to support it all. I really liked walking around this part of Playa del Carmen. So much more relaxed, and there was some really great street art to check out everywhere. It was a great spot to snack on delicious foods and then wander around looking for even more great stuff. Next up on my tasting adventure was an enchilada with mole sauce. Such a tasty, thick sauce with so many different flavors in it. As you can probably tell, I'm basically out exploring for as many awesome foods as I can fit into one day. One of the things I'd seen all over was people selling colorful drinks in unlabeled plastic bottles. Turns out they're called agua frescas, and the best way I can describe them is cold water mixed with juices and other flavors. Really great to have on a hot Mexican day. I get why they're so popular. But now for the serious business, getting some food cart tacos. My first one was topped with a Yucatan food, relleno negro. The peppers used to flavor it are roasted until they turn black, giving it an unmistakable look. It may seem a little unusual, but it tastes really good. Unfortunately, some rain started coming down, so I took shelter in a little taco spot. For these ones, I went with pork tongue and pork belly. I chose some cuts of meat I wouldn't normally pick, and they were so good. Do you think I've had enough food so far today? I'm doing my best to try everything I can. The rain is still coming down, so I walked back towards Fifth Avenue in case I needed to make a quick escape. And it's lucky I did, since pretty soon afterwards the rain started absolutely pouring down. It went from a slight drizzle to a washout within a few seconds, so I'm glad I didn't need to go far. I was able to hide out in one of those huge tourist stores and pass some time seeing what they had in there. And as you can see, they sold basically every type of Playa del Carmen souvenir you can think of. If you need bottles of tequila with tiny sombreros on them, this store had you covered. The thing I found the weirdest was that they had a little pharmacy where you could just walk up and buy whatever prescription drugs you wanted. I was stuck in the store for about 20 minutes, but eventually the rain let up and I wandered around a little more. Unfortunately, still no signs of the sun coming back out. It was still a little wet out, but I explored down by the ferry dock, wandered some of the streets, and saw some other stuff around town. But it seemed more and more likely that the rain was here to stay, so I headed back towards the Colectivo pickup. I still had a little room left in my stomach, so I stopped by a taco stand on the way back to grab another. This one was cochinita pibil. I loved it when I had it at dinner the other night, and I loved it just as much in taco form. Back in the Colectivo, and I was on my way back to Barcelo Maya. And guess what? Not even a hint of rain there. Clear skies and beautiful, like a whole other world. But I wasn't complaining since I got to spend the rest of the day by the pool. Remember how much I liked my lobster dinner last night? I figured why not have even more lobster tonight. Started off with a seafood salad, which was a really good choice. Next up was even more seafood in my soup. And last but not least, lobster cardinal for my main dish. A lot richer than the grilled lobster, but so good. The show for tonight was a Michael Jackson tribute. This one was a huge hit. Not only were they super famous songs that everyone knows, but the singer was really rocking the dance moves. I mean, check it out, he was even moonwalking all over the stage. The crowd was definitely having a great time with this show. On to day 7, and even though the rain chased me away yesterday, I was heading back to Playa del Carmen to check out more. As you walk around, there are going to be dozens of people trying to sell you tickets to the ferry over to Cozumel. It's a really big dock right by the waterfront, looks like it would make for a really easy day trip. But the reason I was down there was to get my first good look at the Playa del Carmen beaches. Right by the water is Founders Park, sandwiched between the beach and Fifth Avenue. It has one of the most iconic sculptures in the city, the Portal Maya. Pretty cool piece of artwork with so many different shapes and symbols flowing together in one arch. Definitely something you'll want to check out while you're there. And that's where the Playa del Carmen sign is if you're looking for a picture spot. But most of the day I just kept exploring the city, wandering the streets, and seeing what fun stuff I could find. And yeah, just like yesterday, every shopkeeper on Fifth Avenue was doing their best to sell me absolutely everything. But one of the coolest things I found was what was hidden underneath one of the stores. From the outside, it just looks like a store selling traditional Mayan products, right? Well, if you follow the sounds of running water, there's actually a cenote underneath it. Yeah, underneath the store. You can go down a little staircase to get to it. Check out how the store is sitting on the rocks below. It was completely unexpected to find something like this under a store on the main tourist road, but really neat to get to check it out. But as energetic as Fifth Avenue was, I found I had way more fun wandering the other streets and seeing what was going on there. And of course, I made time for plenty more food stops along the way. First stop was for some more cochinita pibil tacos. As you can see, I'm eating cochinita every chance I can get. It's super tasty. Next up was a little market that had a stall specializing in Yucatan foods. I started with a couple of panuchos. They're fried tortillas that are filled inside with refried beans. They have all sorts of other stuff piled on top of them. I liked those so much I followed them up with some salbutes. The base was a puffy, fried tortilla with nothing inside. And then, like the panucho, topped with lots of tasty stuff. My first time drinking agua fresca yesterday was so good, I knew I wasn't going to leave without having another. For today, it was chaya and pineapple. Chaya is a leafy plant from the Yucatan, and the drink kind of reminded me of a kale smoothie. So far, every agua fresca I've tried has been awesome. After spending more than enough time wandering the streets, I headed to the beach. It was really easy to access with public entryways on every block. It was a nice sandy beach, but since it's in downtown Playa, it was absolutely packed with people. Not nearly as quiet and peaceful as the beach at my resort, with so many people there and loads of vendors coming by selling stuff. I had seen a huge pole in the middle of Founders Park when we walked by earlier. And luckily, when we were walking back from the beach, we noticed that we were going to have a chance to see what it was used for. The Dance of the Flyers is an ancient ritual where 5 men climb to the top of the pole. One of them stands in the middle and plays music, while the other 4 attach themselves to ropes. But the really cool part is when they get the top part spinning around and the 4 guys attached to the ropes fall back over the side. The whole thing spins and spins and spins, with the rope slowly unraveling. The whole time the guy in the middle keeps playing the music while his friends peacefully spin as they're lowered back down to earth. This is a really cool cultural ceremony and pretty great that they do it right in the center of town. Even though I didn't know anything about the cultural significance of it before seeing it, it was still such an impressive thing to get to see them do. So if you're there and you see 5 guys climbing the pole, definitely stick around and grab a seat to watch them. But before I left Playa, I had time for one last thing, marquesita. These are incredibly popular street desserts here and are kind of like stuffed crepes filled with different things. I went with Nutella and banana, but adding cheese also seemed to be really popular. It was fun just watching the guy at the cart cook it up in front of me. Really tasty and a good way to finish off all the amazing food I had in Playa. But my time in Playa del Carmen had to end sometime, so I headed back to the resort. I found myself a nice spot by the pools where I could sit back and enjoy the last few hours of sunshine. Today's dinner was Japanese at a restaurant with big show tables where you can watch it being made in front of you. First up was a few pieces of sushi for an appetizer, but then the chef came out to put on the main show. If you've ever had teppanyaki before, you know there's going to be a lot of fire. Definitely an entertaining way to have your meal since you get to see everything happening right in front of you. I kept my streak of lobster dinners going with a nice plate of surf and turf for my main. But I think the most memorable part of dinner was the dessert, tempura ice cream, so tasty. After dinner, I was feeling a little lazy, so I hopped on the resort bus they have. It goes between all of the different hotels on the resort in case you aren't up for a walk. But honestly, I just wanted to take a little twilight bus ride to get a different view of the place. Tonight's entertainment was a variety show where they perform a big mix of songs. Everything from high energy stuff with dancers to slower ballads with the singer walking through the crowd. Made for a nice place to sit with a drink and listen to some live music. After the show, I finished my night off with an evening walk along the beach. One thing I noticed almost every night at Barcelo was beachfront weddings. It was super popular for that. I mean, if you're going to get married, I can't think of a better place than on a beautiful beach in paradise. So that's it for this video. I've passed the halfway point of my trip and I'm absolutely loving it. Make sure to come back and check out part 4 of my video. Look for a link in the description. I still need to explore even more of my resort, take a boat ride into the beautiful blue water, eat even more incredible food, meet some sea turtles, and go swimming in a jungle cenote. No matter how much fun I have, it seems like there's always even more to come. If you have any questions, ask me in the comments. While you're at it, like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. On Twitter, I'm Firsthand Globe. On Instagram, I'm Firsthand Globetrotting. Follow me on there. And don't forget, it's an incredible world out there, so pick up your passport and do some firsthand globetrotting of your own.